Thank you, Shaini. Okay, so when we were actually thinking of this session, we realized that we have the enviable task of starting the morning, and we were not very sure whether everybody, all of you, would be here or not. But I'm so happy to see so many people already here, finish their breakfast or in having their breakfast. So thank you so much for joining us today morning. And one thing at least we can commit to you that we'll try to make this session as engaging as possible. Uh, I would really recommend that after this session, if you can help us make it much more participated and probably give your point of view or any kind of suggestions or any kind of questions you have. I would really urge you to do that so that we can actually make it much more engaging for all of us. This session is all about AI, identifying high potential areas, where does AI go in future, how does this accelerate the marketing part of the business. So what we thought as we as panelists decided that we will probably divide this into two large parts. One is obviously we will stick to the topic which is talking about AI and how it is being used. And we have a stellar panel of FMCG, FMCD, as well as the quick commerce or the restaurant ordering business. So we have uh, the panelists are from the marquee companies, so we will actually get good point of views of how it is being used. But the second part of the discussion, we will also actually, because one part of discussion is also about the challenges that we are facing, because AI is new to us, AI is new to the entire organization that we work in, AI is new to the customers. And anything which is fairly new is always riddled with challenges and problems. So we'll probably try to, if we have time, to dwell some time on discussing the real live use cases, problems that we are facing. To start the discussion, I will actually start with Abhishek. Abhishek, you have the unique, of all the panelists, you have this unique distinction of working in the tech side of the business. And therefore, you actually have the ability to look from the implementation side and also from the use cases side. So my question to you is, according to you, if you can describe evolution of AI, how it has happened, and where it is today, where it is supposed to go, and probably its applications to marketing from specifically from your point of view.
Sure, sure. So, just today morning I was reflecting and I just realized there was also a time when you had a macro in Excel and you called it AI. We've come from those days. And I think we've come a really, really long way. So you've seen, you've heard of terms like RPAs, you've heard of bots, you've heard of OCR, you've heard of NLP, you've heard of tons of things that have been happening, right? And where it gets really interesting is when these technologies start coming in combinations. Yeah. So when we think as a marketer, in my opinion, the applications are numerous; they're infinite. But I think one of the things as a marketer which we tend to miss sometimes is that it's not only about the consumer; it's also about a marketer's productivity. So something like, for example, you would have heard of something, if you put together an RPA with, let's say, an OCR, which is optical character recognition, with a good chat interface, you could come up something which is called a digital worker or an employee twin, which essentially mimics a marketer, right? We also saw the Copilot from Microsoft, fantastic productivity assistant. So this is internal. Externally, this could range right from new product development, scraping across the web, figuring out what are the trending concepts on quick commerce. It could raise to content generation through Gen AI. It could be through engagement for beauty tech, nutri-tech, any of those things. It could eventually just result into just product recommendations and even a AI-based care line or customer service. So there are infinite applications across the entire consumer journey.
Okay. So you are saying it actually not just from the marketer side also, but you also have to see how it is making life easier, not for consumers also, but also making us more efficient.
Absolutely. Those times have come now, finally.
Excellent. Actually, we should actually, if we get time, we should also discuss other than marketing, other than consumer, what are the other use cases of AI, but I don't think we'll get time for it, but that's a good food for thought. Chandan, you are part of the Nestle and you have been with Nestle for quite some time. You will be very soon completing 2 decades in Nestle. My question to you is, there's a Ask Nestle service, okay? And you were telling me that probably you are thinking of another avatar for it. So can you explain, and especially it works on the parental consent and parental guidance part of it, because you deal in food categories which are for infants and which are for kids. So if you can talk a little about what is that service and what is the impact it has created across businesses and across the brand.
Sure. Well, we at Nestle, when we look at AI, we look at AI a little bit broadly. We look at across content, media, and engagement. And AI has a sort of a potential in all three of these, whether it be content generation, whether it be content adaptation, whether it be, anything that has to do with the starting point of content or even sparking of creative thinking. And then in media, of course, there are many different use cases about, how you can deploy AI in media. Some of them are more precise, some of them are less precise. And then, of course, engagement from conversational hyperdrives to everything, you have many different opportunities for looking at AI. So in particular, Ask Nestle is a nutrition service pillar that we have. So it's a web-based service pillar where parents can go in and, talk about or find out about different things about nutrition and so on and so forth. And we've been using AI in 4 or 5 different ways to essentially, power this entire Ask Nestle service. One is we use a lot of AI, and we have been using it for some time to understand a little bit about, what do people look for, social media listening, looking at NLP, looking at natural language generation, to understand which are the main pain points, what are people looking for, where are the attraction areas and all of that. And some of the features in Ask Nestle is actually powered by some of that understanding, which of course has got a human side to understanding. It's not only AI. But AI also, enables that, because when you have very large data sets to cope with, you need machines, and you need machines to understand, and you need the help of, AI to be able to decipher that more sharply, to be able to classify some of those elements and so on. So if you look at many of our tools, they actually use a fair degree of AI. Then similarly, if you look at, we used to have something called Nina, which was a conversational bot. And we found that, because nutrition is very, very personalized in a way, that everybody has a context. My child who's 5 years old does not want to eat this or that or so on. So it's very, very personalized. So we had we had Nina, which actually started 3, 4, 5 years ago. And at that point in time, the algorithm was not all that efficient to be able to capture all the queries and so on. So people still wanted to talk to a nutritionist, to get some advice on what is it and specifically talk. So it hadn't evolved. We're trying to evolve it now. Now there are more technologies available. And if you look at, 1 or 2 years later, of course, that'll get sharper and we'll be able to evolve, further things out there. And then when you look at engagement or personalization or looking at, different kinds of content or optimization of content, then there are different kinds of cases to look at different elements which use AI in many different ways. I think the key thing is to, of course, support it with a good human understanding and try to also use AI and leverage technology so that it becomes far more productive, far more efficient, far more useful from a consumer standpoint.
So a side question on that would be, do consumers actually, number one, trust if the information is coming from an AI bot like a Nina? Do consumers trust it, or as you were saying, the consumers would like to talk to humans? Or do you think that tendency of trust level going up gradually?
So I think there are 2 parts to it. One is that in general, Nestle is trusted. So therefore, you will, something coming from Nestle has got an element of trust. But as we all know, trust has to be earned every day. It's not that, just because you trust something in the past, you will continue to trust it. So that's something that has to be earned every day. On the other side, when it's AI, and that's why we're evolving our entire Nina bot and so on, the answers have to be much more specific to the context. Now, with the kind of things that we saw yesterday, for example, to be able to use prompt engineering and to be able to prompt it well and have, more language around it and evolve the entire service with the right prompts, I think there is an opportunity to develop and grow that even more so that people are able to get more useful information out of that. Because now the tendency might be that there is a discussion, when you're talking about health or nutrition, most people still prefer a discussion because it's got a context. But as tools become sharper, as prompt becomes better, maybe there is a scope for AI to evolve in the future.
Okay. The key takeaway I would actually take is the first part you said is the inherent trust in the brand actually rubs off into this thing, and so important for brands and for marketers like us to continue building on those trust and for new brands actually that start building trust, because that goes a long way. Thank you so much. Now coming to Taranjit, you come from brands like GSK, Reckitt, and now with Tata Consumers. You know, all of the brands of these companies have been fairly close to consumers, and probably we use these brands in our day-to-day life. So I actually am thinking that what are the use cases of AI in the various, and especially from a marketing side, in the kind of brands or in the kind of initiatives that you have handled? What are the real use cases?
So I think AI is something which we all know that everybody is getting used to, and it's more about test and learn and see what is going to come out of it. I think some of the cases that we have done internally is one is which is pure play optimization of the media planning, which I was telling Reena also that, you know, the co-pilot which was presented yesterday, we've used it and we've seen excellent results, frankly, on, you know, how the tool has helped us optimize a simple digital media plan and get lower CPVs, significant lower CPVs, only because the tool is literally optimizing on the go versus a physical planner sitting and doing it, right? That's one. Second part is, I think we've also used a large bit of AI in terms of personalization, and Tata Tea per se has been known for hyper personalization in terms of, you know, the kind of blends that we have. So every tea packet, whether it is a UP packet or a Delhi packet or a Punjab packet, the blend is made for that particular state. So personalization starts for us even at the not just at the packaging level, but at the product level. Okay, and what we did with that is using AI to bring that alive in terms of what is it that resonates with, let's say, a particular state. Now, if you look at it, India has got 22 official languages, 121 total languages, and almost 19,000 dialects, which essentially means if you go to a state, if it is UP or if it is Punjab or any other state that you think of, it's not just a Marathi that somebody is speaking in Maharashtra, right? Or it's not Hindi that somebody is speaking in UP. It may be different dialects within this certain state. So what we've done is simple things like, you know, how I think in offices we say, let's go for a chai. Or, you know, it is not the way that, let's say, you would hear it in a different dialect. Because I think for us as corporates, we feel that, okay, let's go for a chai, or chai pe chalte hain is a very normal way of talking, but there is a lot of analysis which we did to understand what is it that people are talking when they say, let's go for tea, right? And those dialects we picked up to use, to build a use case on AI actually, where we said, we picked up actually different dialects within each state and said, if somebody is prompting for this dialect, then you serve the TTP ad or you take him to an e-com platform, right? Depending on where he is, what words he used, and hence a lot of AI actually got in play in terms of understanding the language. I think the one thing which right now we are all evolving as a country also is, unlike a US or a UK where English is like the base language for us because the dialects are so huge, AI is evolving that, and I think we use that part of the dialect to actually serve the creatives according to what somebody is actually talking, which is more personalization at really hyper-local stage. So that's one part of it, and of course on Gen AI, I think you were talking about to Chandan also, you know, on the bot, how does somebody really trust the AI bot? So we actually launched this product, which is the Himalayan saffron, and saffron as a category is, you know, very adulterated in that manner, right? There are different types of saffrons that are available in the market. We took all the insights from what are the kind of searches people are actually doing on Google, okay, or in general on different digital platforms on saffron. We took that information, fed it to the Gen AI bot that we have on the microsite. When somebody is going to the microsite, we know the obvious question he's going to ask and feed him information accordingly, which is the AI was actually linked to the overall search engine, which was real-time actually optimization we did on Gen AI also. So I think from a use cases, we've tested some bit of it. And as we talk in the second section in terms of what are the real challenges, I'll talk about, when you have to bring alive these things, what are the actual challenges that you face to actually bring it alive also.
Yeah, very interesting. As basic and as part of our daily life as tea, the kind of personalization that is there, and it becomes a marketer's challenge that product ने तो अपना काम कर दिया of making teas according to the regions, but how do I probably do further personalization? Very interesting, very interesting. And I should tell you, I come from this part of the country, from Ajmer, and my wife comes from a town called Bhilwara. From her I learned कि मारवाड़ी भी 3-4 टाइप के होते हैं, एक मारवाड़ के इस तरफ रहने वाले, एक मारवाड़ के उस तरफ रहने वाले, एक पाली के उस तरफ रहने वाले. So within a small community also, so much of difference, and you were talking about the dialects. That's amazing, and the kind of challenges that our country throws us, it's both a marketeer's nightmare as well as a marketeer's dream, because the challenges actually thrive. We all thrive in challenges, we all know that. So thank you so much. Coming to you, Shantanu, you come from Noise. A brand which has really come up in terms of the wearables and this thing. So probably I'll refer to my notes while asking this question, because I don't want to go wrong when I talk about things. Noise has a Luna ring. Okay, I don't know what about it. So if you can help us to explain what is a Luna ring and how does it leverage AI to actually enhance the health monitoring. And that's a fantastic use case and how it is being used for marketing.
So, hi guys. Thank you for actually making it this morning. So with Luna Ring, it's a smart ring. So with that, basically you try to make sure that you're having a healthy life. We have come up with the very non-intrusive device. Moreover, there were a lot of consumer requests which came in where they wanted to have a sleep tracking, they wanted to go to a gym, or they wanted to have whole health monitoring in the day-to-day life. And they want an extension to the smartwatch, and then we introduced this Luna Ring. So you can very sleep easily wearing a ring, and you don't have to wear a smartwatch also, which is bulky in nature comparatively. So that was the mindset when we thought of introducing the Luna Ring into the market. Whereas with evolving nature of AI, we just thought, we have almost 20 million smartwatches already sold in India of Noise. And then there were certain touch points which we are also aware about, that how they're tracking, what are the body monitoring which we need to do. We thought, how about we build a personalized AI coach for our Luna Ring people, because they're much more focused, health conscious. That's what we thought. That was the mindset when we introduced, let's build the personalized AI chatbot. So with that chatbot, some of the interesting things which you can do is, for example, you just go to the chatbot and just type, okay, how was my sleep last night? And then suddenly it says, yes, you can track on the graph also that you slept for 8 hours, you slept for 6.5 hours, that was your deep sleep, what was your REM, rapid eye movement. So basically, you basically analyze these things. And then eventually you can actually go for a comprehensive body monitoring saying, I've been feeling a little tired today. Can you please tell me exactly what happened from the body monitoring point of view, like what was my, so the Luna Ring detects, and let's say, they say, you've been sleeping for almost 6 hours almost every day, which in turn creating a lot of tiredness for you for the next day while you're going for your readiness score is not so good. So you really need to increase your sleep for 1 hour almost every day. So again, we're using the AI for completely, there are people who really nerd about fitness, and we're trying to build some sort of AI for them. And also to the people who are not nerd about fitness, but really wanted to adapt this healthy lifestyle. So that's being the objective. Then we thought of, how about we also start giving some tailored coaching. So imagine if you just type with this, okay, I have a tennis tournament next week. Can you please recommend me some sort of workout, or I'm preparing for a marathon after 2, 3 months. Don't prepare for a marathon just within a week. So imagine like for 2, 3 months, and then it gives you some tailored coachings, right? This is how you have to have a strength training. This is what you should do. This is how you should build your, running time and whatever. I'm not deep into it. So honestly, this has been the objective. So you have an in-depth analysis, you have a comprehensive body monitoring, and then you have a tailored coaching. So these are the things. We are also trying to build it for different languages, which they are much more, focused on. So which Taran has already talked about, and the similar thing which we are trying to do. But we are trying to make it a little more global platform also, that if we want to do, because in European countries, the language are not more English over there, to be honest, like, so that's what we realized. So we are actually building it for them also. So yeah, that's it from our side right now.
Very, very interesting. When you were talking about what all this lunar ring can do, I was actually thinking of the Jarvis, what exactly it does for the Iron Man. But, so ultimately we had one point where smartwatches were just throwing us data. And now AI is helping us using this data to personalize and tailor-made solutions for that particular individual in the language that the user wants to use, in a manner in which is fairly easy and comprehensible. Very nice. It's a fantastic use case. Sounds very easy, but I'm sure a lot of hard work and a lot of groundwork behind the scene that has gone into do
Yes,
this. Right?
I think it's a everyday learning. To be honest, I think we do get. Abhi, right now, we don't have a data on the retention part, like how many people have trusted that data, because we feel the trust is equal to the retention, like how many people are coming again and again, and they found it very interesting or not. It's very small data right now who have started using it. So maybe in a month or 2 months, we might release that, how people are responding to it. But yeah, definitely we're building a team inside, and we're very confident on this part that we really need to travel this road too. So that is something which we have chosen.
Interesting. Thank you so much for this. Mayank, you are with Swiggy, and I'm sure all of us over here have been consumers of Swiggy for both the large business verticals of Swiggy, which is the food business as well as the quick commerce. So if you can probably tell you what are I'm sure there are a lot of use cases across Swiggy, but if you can talk about a couple of use cases that you think that AI does.
Yeah, see, I think, so I'll talk about my perspective on AI from a marketer's lens, right? And from a marketer's lens, I think the first thing, and it is perhaps the most glamorous thing, is also leveraging celebrities better. I think that is perhaps the biggest use case for me, where we've used it here, I've used it in the past organizations that I've worked at. What it does is that, and let me just break this down for you. Cadbury, I think, was the first one who leveraged that Shah Rukh Khan creative, and local retailers, etc., could have creatives for them by Shah Rukh Khan, right? Which was like such a big thing to be unboxed. But actually, while the first creative that came out, there was a lot of talk around the fact that AI can do something like this. I think the full potential of that hasn't yet been unlocked, right? India is a country with many, medium, small enterprises, right? Retailers, a lot of these small communities who want to be associated with the big glamorous world, but they have no way of doing it, right? Imagine somebody who's got a very small turnover, a few lakhs per month of turnover. They can now have literally creatives, etc., which are or stamped by a celebrity, which they could never think of, with, of course, like a big organization coming in between to enable all of this. So I think that is one part which I am fascinated by, and I think can lend a lot to the world going forward also. The second part where I think it comes in really handy is image generation, right? So where there is scope for, so the one way of doing it and how we've been doing image generation in the past is also using a lot of brute force, where people get in and create multiple combinations. But with AI, and yesterday we were seeing the power of what Microsoft and Copilot were talking about, right? With AI, we are already starting to see this. Image generation as such is becoming much more easy, and as the tools keep on learning, it is also giving outputs which can be directly utilized. So we faced this, right? Initially, the outputs that we got weren't really of great quality, or they needed a lot of human intervention. But over a period of time, the models are also learning. What it does is that it gives you the power to customize and personalize to a large extent, right? If you get the prompts right, and maybe just multiply, maybe with a lot lesser efforts, you get outputs that can be leveraged across. So I think to me, these are the dimensions that I would think about right now.
Okay, so usage of celebs, how you can use them at a scale, at a personalized level. And second is using it in creatives, especially image generation. Nice, excellent. We are through with one part of our discussion, and I want to actually just point out one thing, and especially to our colleagues from Microsoft, if they are here. In this entire round, I could hear Copilot at least 4 or 5 times being mentioned over here. So that's an ROI delivered straight to you right now. Okay, it's already delivered. So whatever you had invested in this AdTech platform, it's already delivered for you. So, but that's the power. That's the power of being amongst the right audience and coming with the right messaging. We move on to the next part, and the next part is something that we all grapple with. What is AI, number one, and number two is when we try to use AI, AI is a very big word. Sometimes we also don't know what all comes under AI. And so therefore, to actually start using it and then to start popularizing it and start actually people believe in it, we also as marketeers face a lot of challenges. And I want to discuss about those challenges, and probably with all of our partners over here, I would request that these challenges are real-time challenges for us marketeers. And if you can really work with us in creating solutions for these kind of challenges, that will really help us and in turn will help you. So I'll start with you, Taran, over here. What are the challenges that you see are there right now in taking this AI both internally as well as then to consumers?
I think the challenge in AI right now starts with the people itself. So whether it is agency folks where you want to convey something, see there is a difference when you actually have to do it and when you say that I want to do it, right? The understanding of AI is different for everyone, right? And some of the agency folks, when let's say whether it is creative or whether it is media, right? They would still have a bit of struggle in terms of understanding what is the ask, and hence maybe there is a talent which exists, but I think there is still a gap, okay, which we all need to cover, because ultimately the guys who are hired in an agency setup would be, let's say, a typical digital creative guy. Erstwhile was doing a TVC, now he's doing a digital creative. That guy also has to evolve, right? So I think somewhere the upskilling also is happening, but has it happened to the full extent? Of course not, right? The entire AI piece itself has, I think, a lot of myths around it, right? I think we were just talking that, like yesterday we were having that workshop, right, where we were talking about, okay, just input whatever you want and then you get the output, right? Now everybody thinks that AI is like, okay, I just put whatever line, it just needs to understand everything and give me what I want, right? But that's not how it is, because your output is subject to your input, right? So your input has to be sharper in that manner, right? And I think somewhere when we use AI tools, even whether it was with the agency partners or internally, that thing we are still evolving with, that it's like the brief has to be perfect to get the right output, right? It's like that. So I think that is one talent I feel is like one angle which we all need to upskill ourselves also, I think. And see, I still remember the days when from TV the digital evolution happened, and I remember the first time when people were talking about, oh, there is a YouTube creative that you have to run. And I remember I was in one organization where every brand manager was like, what is this YouTube? Is it not going to give you GRPs? I said, no, it's not going to give you GRPs. It's going to give you reach and frequency. So it will take a while for, I think, everyone to adjust to the new piece. And I think upskilling is the way to manage it.
Okay, so people understanding of AI within the system. So probably AI within that AI, because AI also keeps on getting better and better. So maybe अंदर एक
Yeah, I
AI
think,
चाहिए,
see,
right?
when you say within the system, see, it's a lot of people, I think so many people, they say, I have used AI because it also sounds fancy. Okay, so first, everybody has to evolve from that fanciness and then come out to the real thing of what it is going to give you, right? So even in the internal teams, I think when we are talking, it's very nice to say, hum bhi use karte hain, right? But you really have to see the change, happening. Then only it is a tool. It's a tool. I mean, it's an enabler, right? It's nothing else, but it's an enabler to do things faster.
Okay. Chandan, you have a unique perspective of you have worked across geographies. And when I say geographies, I also mean international geographies. So from your perspective, what are the challenges that we face in getting AI actually using AI?
So I think the biggest bucket of challenge, if you were to kind of give it a little bit of a bigger picture, is about precision and accuracy of AI. I think it's evolving, it's coming through, it's moving, but it's still not completely there. I'm sure technology will also kind of, move fast. So if you look at from a Nestle perspective, we used to, we still have, of course, we have a website called Nespresso, which is about coffee machines and coffee capsules globally. Previously, and this was one of the very first D2C brands which sort of started 20 years ago in the Western world. If you were to get that on Spanish or Italian or any of the other languages, it would need a lot of work to be able to translate that website to get it up to some language. Today, if I want to access Ask Nestle on Marathi, it sort of, comes up very, very fast. So therefore, there's an evolution. Is that language completely precise and accurate? Probably there is still some room to go, but that capability does exist and come through. In some of our meetings, for example, we have always, and especially some of the longer ones, you have, minutes of the meeting, etc. AI does a very good job at transcripting the meeting. It'll bring up all that happened during the meeting and so on. But is it going to really get you the minutes? What is the main mudda of the meeting or a point or, what needs to? There's probably some evolution which has to happen to get that really precise and accurate. But I think that is an evolving journey. Like you mentioned about bots, conversational AI bots are probably okay when you have transactional conversation. Yes, no, this or that, this, and so on. But if you want to have a more detailed or a more meaningful conversation, and if you want to engage a bit further, probably there's still some room to go to get accuracy and precision. Like there's so much of AI being used in content, for example, we use it. It's a good trigger to spark creativity, to think through, to get some new ideas and so on. But is my AI content, AI-powered content ready for publishing? Probably not. I'll still have to use some judgment, brand guardrails, meaning around it, and then see how. But it's a very good, it short circuits the entire process. Some of the tools that we use for putting together briefs, for example, we try to put something together and we have our own kind of, variation of GPT called Nest GPT. Why we have done that is basically we want to keep our internal data safe within us, so that therefore Nest GPT. So we can put in a lot of stuff there and then have some triggers to help build a brief. Is that completely accurate? Not yet, but it gives you good thoughts and already a starting point from where you work. So I think it's a great evolution. It's come a long way. There is still more room to go, and I'm sure there'll be more and more tools, better precision, better accuracy that will come in.
Okay. We have exactly 6 minutes left, so we'll 2 minutes each of you. So Abhishek, quickly if you can talk about the challenges, and especially from a beauty segment. I'm sure a lot of work happens on the beauty segment.
Sure.
In your business. So quickly the challenges that you face, and very specific to beauty if you can.
Sure. So I think one of the challenges I faced, and similar to what Chandan and Taranjeet were talking about, is there is so much of tech out there, and there's that desire that let's try this, let's try that. There's a clutter of experiments. I think one of the learnings that we've had is to very efficiently identify where you really need to put those efforts, where you need to really experiment. So if you take beauty and you take Lakme, for example, I'll take two parts of it. One in terms of the D2C part of it, and then the B2B part of it from an general trade perspective as well. So rather than trying multiple things, what we did is that we realized that let's try to mimic a consumer's journey. So let's imagine someone who's a potential shopper or consumer on a Lakme. we want to see the first thing the thought comes that I don't know what I want, maybe I do. Can you tell me as an AI shade finder, which is a product we already have out there, a tech product on the D2C, can you tell me what would work for me? Okay, the next step is that, okay, this seems to work. How would it look on me? And the best is, you know, somebody's seen a recent trend. There's a Met Gala post of maybe, I don't know, someone, you know, Alia wearing something nice. And the first question that comes in, how would this, I want to try that exact same look. And so therefore, very sharp identification and therefore much larger impact. And that's from a consumer standpoint, when you're generating demand. But there's also an angle where you could use it from a standpoint of where you're trying to do general trade. And what's the problem that I would have with possibly, a Unilever would have with possibly a distributor? He's got so much of stock and so many SKUs and so much of width assortment, he's probably missing out on what he should be ordering and not. So, you know, AI can do simple things, like, for example, you know, pick up trends from the past. This is what you have been ordering always, all along. You seem to have missed this order this time around. Should we suggest it for you? This is what we think you should definitely order, which we are promoting. So very sharp identification and therefore landing those. I think that surgical identification and impact is the one that makes the biggest difference, rather than a clutter of experiments and a clutter of AI and all of those things.
So precision is the key word that you are using. Okay. Shantanu, your perspective on the challenges?
So I can talk about data and privacy. What I see is for any AI model to run, you need a large amount of data. And these data are stored at a certain places. So imagine if you need to be, the system need to be so good that it actually, we should not have any cyber attack happening over there. So that's the biggest challenge, like, people have to be worried about. Second thing, it also create a biasness. What I've read about, like, imagine if you're a bank and you're actually providing a home loan, and you see that the AI has processed the data in a way that there are a lot of women who have been, you know, faulty of not paying the loans. We know the reason on the backside, that a lot of men have taken loans from the woman's name and they have not paid it. So it, in a way, creates a lot of biasness also. And that could be one of the challenge which we could also, and similarly, after such cyber attack, you will also have a deep fake coming in. I think HDFC have done a great job by actually producing one campaign around where Nora Fateh comes in, and it's a deep fake video where she was been selling the product for not Lululemon but Lulumelon, and people get onto the site and then they find that there's a scam of it. So I think that awareness need to be there in the system now. As the growing D2C brands, this could become one of the challenge that they need to build a lot of trust also on the factors. So yeah.
Yeah, so trust, and one of the drivers of the trust is my data secure with you? Nice. Mayank, from your side.
Yeah, so I spoke about the power of image generation that
Yes.
comes with AI, right? And I think that is where, to me, today the challenge that I face also. I can take a recent example when we were trying to generate images for cricket, right? Cricket-related images. And the AI model came up with very good images for batting, but when it came to bowling, the images were just not there. They were coming up with all types of funny postures which did not look like the person was bowling, right? And the reason which I kind of guessed is that holding a bat is still something that the models would perhaps know because of baseball, etc., the influence of baseball in West. But cricket is more like an Indian, Asian game with very select pockets outside of that that has been playing it. So bowling was something that we couldn't get to, and we'd crossed that deadline of where we could, generate images or create those images ourselves. So in the end, we went with only batsman images. So I think things like this, which we don't foresee today, but the models haven't learned completely, is to me a challenge still.
Yeah, very interesting perspective. So it seems like, and probably my partner colleagues can tell me if I'm wrong, that seems these AI models are being generated with not India in mind, and then they're getting adapted to Indian conditions. So there's definitely a use case for creating a model from scratch using India as a base, So next time somebody in US wants to generate an image of bowling or batting, it doesn't throw up a baseball bat, but actually throws a cricket bat. So that would probably be the test of times. So thank you so much. We are actually right at the end, and I think we are right on time. So thank you so much, my fellow panelists, for sticking to the time. If you have some questions or suggestions, happy to take. Otherwise, we can continue our discussions in the foyer, over the coffee, or over the drinks during the evening. So, yes, please. Can we have a mic going over there?
Hi, thank you for the insightful session. I'm Rohan from Spotify.
Louder.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Right, so I'm Rohan from Spotify. I had one question. So we see fads coming in every now and then. Obviously, AI is the buzzword now. So while there are a lot of AI tools, especially generative transformers that we use for image generation, music generation, but at the end of the day, as marketers, where do you see most of these tools helping you as in decision making, or helping you become better marketers and efficient at it beyond your just image generation or audio generation? Or
Sorry, actually, the voice.
where do you see AI helping you in the long run as marketers at your jobs, or building your organizations, or helping you achieve your objectives?
I think I'll take that. I think from AI, it is right from the supply chain to the marketing, right, and to the end consumer. It's not just like on the marketing side. I think it's there in procurement, it's there in supply chain, and it's there in marketing, and it is there in all other angles. I think, like I said, it is going to only enable you to do things better and faster. And I think how we use AI is up to us, right? I mean, there are the bad things which also exist in AI, and there are also the good things, right? So the tools are going to keep existing, and I think, as Shantanu rightly mentioned, there are guardrails that we need to operate at and see how and when you want to use it and how you want to use it. But yeah, I think the future, like I think a lot of people did in different forums have said, is it going to take over humans? I don't think so, and I'm open to the panel to say it's going to only coexist with us, right?
I'll just add just one line to the, what she just mentioned, and I think it will go far. It'll cover a lot of what we do. But the best way to look at it is there are things which are non-judgmental tasks that we can do in terms of image generation, creative generation, product brief, things like that. But there are still judgment calls which only humans will continue doing.
Perfect. Unfortunately, we'll take questions offline now. Okay, we'll let Chandan get in. Sure.
Sorry, just one point to add, look at what problem we want to solve. I think that's the starting point. Don't just take AI on top of AI. Look at what's the problem to solve. And one way in which we look at it is what is everyday AI and what's game-changing AI. So if you have the problems and if you look at it from the lens, like was being said, AI has got application from an end-to-end perspective. But we need to decide for ourselves what's really going to help us. Thank you.
And I'll use the moderator's right for just one more minute.
Please.
AI is just not marketing. I'll just tell you from our industry, which is life insurance. Marketing is one angle, but our industry, since it's a regulated industry and we deal with money, so risk, fraud prevention, underwriting, everywhere, there are innumerable use cases where AI is being used. So there are a lot of spaces, and I think it is up to us how we can, their use cases are abundant. How we can use it to our context, I think that's up to us.
Can we give it up for the fantastic panel and the fantastic moderation done by Abhishek as well? Could I quickly request all our panelists to come together for a group picture, please?